I feel like these days I am focused way too much on buying books rather than reading them. There was a time in my life when I couldn't afford even a single book. I literally used to steal from my mother, like whenever she gave me some money to get to grocery shop. So, I did the math and saved some money so that I could buy a champak or I could buy a balhans. But now for the past 3 or 4 years, I have started making a little bit of money. So I can finally afford to buy my own books or buy books from my own money. But I have seen this trend with myself that I have been just purchasing without thinking that whether I really need to read them or not. So most of the time I read things which I already enjoy reading. Let's say I like a particular author, so I buy another book from him or her. Or if I'm interested in a particular genre, then I start exploring more authors from that area. And I have this other channel where I talk about English learning or other things, and there I was trying to do a challenge where I had to read 30 books in 30 days. That was the reason I bought this whole I hope it's not gonna fall, these many books. And I know it was a very unrealistic challenge to do, but I thought, you know what, I am staying home, I am freelancing, so I can do it. But I was wrong. At the moment, I think I can afford one book every month. Like from my own money, I can buy one book every month. But now things are going out of my hand. Every month, I'm buying at least 2 or 3 books. I think reading is a slow hobby and I want to enjoy it. I don't want to rush through it like other things which I'm doing these days, just scrolling in the name of inspiration. I'm just scrolling reels after reels. So maybe this video or this channel is just a reminder to myself that I should be more mindful with what I'm reading, why I'm reading, and what kind of books I'm purchasing. So if you have watched this far, I assume nobody is watching, but if anybody is here, hello everyone, my name is Roshan, and on this channel I will be talking about books and movies. I'll be sharing my opinion and just whatever I feel, whatever I'm going through, and why I'm reading all of those things. So I'll just take you through what I have read this year and what I have purchased that I will be reading, or hopefully I'll be able to read them this year. So right now I'm reading this book called Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. I hope I haven't butchered his name. So I think this is a Japanese novel translated in English. And I remember watching this movie maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And that movie moved me in a very different way. And when I found out that there is a book on it, so I thought maybe one day I'll definitely get a copy. So I have this and I'm some 40 pages in or 45 pages in, and the story is quite slow. And I have this monkey brain, like whatever I watch, whatever I read, I know that in the next 2 years I'm gonna forget 70 to 80% of it. So I do remember the impact of the movie, but I most of the things have gone. So it's a very slow read, and let's see how much time I can give it to it. But right now it is very slow. I discovered this book called The Book of Disquiet on maybe a YouTube channel. I really love their recommendation, and I think our taste is quite similar. So when that person was talking about this book, I thought, is this book based on my life? So I read a couple of paragraphs and I thought that I should definitely go for it. So there is no structure to this book. It's not a particularly novel that you have to follow line by line. You can just pick up any paragraph from any page and you will highlight everything. So that's what I like about this book. So I'm reading it slowly. Again, whenever I feel like something to read, something different to read, I just read a few pages and highlight almost everything of it. So I am some 20 pages in, and I hope you can see it here. I have highlighted way too many things because it feels like everything is relatable. So maybe books like this can get you into reading. I'm enjoying this one. And I have taken a break from this one, The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I am almost done with half of it, but the language is very complex. Even though my comprehension is quite good now, but even with that, the classic language, the flowery language, I don't know whether I should be using flowery word here, but what I mean by flowery is that the language is just too royal. I know the book is also based on this group of people who belong to that class. So maybe that's the reason I'm not able to enjoy the I'm enjoying the writing, but at the same time, it's kind of difficult to understand everything. The story is interesting. This narcissistic guy, Mr. Dorian Gray, and his other companion. So I think I will continue after I'm done with Never Let Me Go. And these are other books which I have read this year since January. I started with this one, Tuesdays with Maury, and I liked it. It's a very quick read, very short one. It's like The Prophet by Khalil Gibran, but in easier language. Then I picked up Hunger Games. So yeah, Hunger Games, I read a couple of them together. I have two more to read, so hopefully this year I will cover them too. And I think this has been a very interesting read. Shame by Annie Ernaux. It's a short story, short novel or novella, whatever it is called, but I really like the writing of it because this is something we all want to write. If there is anybody who wants to write their daily life, what they are feeling, or something recalling from their past or their memories, then I think they should definitely check this out. Shame. And this is such a rereadable book. I think I read it last month and I already feel like rereading it. So it is short, it is something that we all can relate with, we all want to write also. So if you want to get into writing, if you're looking for something short, then same. And now this video is turning into a recommendation one. Another short story I read last month, The Pearl by John Steinbeck. So even though it is just under 100 pages, I felt that it was very descriptive. I could imagine whole movie in my head. And there is this thing, whenever I'm reading something, I like to go and find out if there is a movie on it or not. So whenever I complete something, I go and check that out, whether how did I imagine and how the other person have imagined it. The goal was to read more Indian authors this year, and that's why I purchased these two books, and there are some more from Indian authors. So the first one I read was Train to Pakistan by Kushwant Singh, and I had a good time reading this one. Why? Because I am interested in history, but at the same time it feels that I'm not able to push myself to go through all those facts. So when there is a sort of a story there, I think I get too interested in that topic, and then I can check out the facts also. So this story is based during India Pakistan partition. It deals with this village where a few people are stuck and they are completely unaware about what is happening in our country. And while I was reading this, I found it very sad that how some of the things mentioned in the book, what was the circumstances during 1940s, 1950s, they are still relevant in some part of our country. So even after all these years of independence, things haven't improved much. So, if you are interested in Indian authors, if you want to read or get familiar with our country's history with the element of a story or fiction, then I highly recommend this one. And then another story I read from an Indian author. I think he is not living in our country, but he is an Indian, The White Tiger by Arvind Adiga. So this was entertaining one. It was like, there is a word here, savage. Somebody has described this book as savage, and I think that summarizes it, how accurate the description of some things mentioned in the books are, especially with the caste voting. I come from a village. I think some things are completely true and still relevant, and I wonder if this book could have been published this time, 2026. So I have a lot to talk about this. I will put my thoughts clearly on a piece of paper, and then I will talk about this in detail. This is funny. I don't want to read Murakami, but I can't stop reading Murakami. I love his writing so much, man. But it is just that once I get into his books, it's just like I can't stop reading them. So this is a short story, and some of the stories are so bizarre, and that's what Murakami is. His writing is just so bizarre. And when I was reading this, the first chapter itself, Drive My Car, I was thinking that maybe I have read this story or I know this story, Then I remember that, you know what, there is a movie on it, and I was so surprised. Then I went and checked. Yeah, this movie was inspired by this short story. So if you're looking for some short stories, something bizarre to read, then read this one, Men Without Women. And I think Ernest Hemingway is going to become one of my favorite authors because of the honesty of his writing and how quick paced his writing is. I read The Sun Also Rises, and I took my time reading this because it was again very descriptive. It was like you are reading somebody's journal, how they experienced things, how they were feeling. So I had a great time. I have never been to Spain, but the way he talked about this, have I ever left this country? I have never been to Spain. But yeah, I also want to go on foreign trips, Spain maybe one day if I can afford. So this was a very descriptive book. Had a great time, and I'm looking forward to read more of Ernest Hemingway. Now let's talk about the problem which I have these days, not being able to read as much as I was reading. And I just mentioned that I don't want to make reading as another hobby that I have to make it compulsion. I want to enjoy it. But when you are on social media scrolling, creating content, you think that you are doing it just for the sake of finding inspiration, but deep down you know that you are not finding inspiration, you are just killing time. It's just easier to do that. Now I'll talk about why I purchased all of these books and why I want to read them. So if you need any recommendation, I don't know what I'm going to recommend because I haven't read anything from this list. So I think let's start with Dune. It doesn't require any introduction. I am into science fiction. I want to read science fiction, but I have only read a few books from this genre. So Dune Messiah is releasing this year. So I thought maybe I should try reading books also. Since I mentioned being a monkey brain guy, I have forgotten half of what happened in the movie. So I think I will have a good time reading this. But again, I have heard that this book is really complex, especially the story and also the language. And again, whenever you are reading a fantasy book or a science fiction, the names are something that is very difficult to get familiar with. So I will take my time reading this one. Maybe once I am done with movie, I'll pick it up. But this year, hopefully, I'll read Dune. So I purchased this box set of Ernest Hemingway, and there were, I think, total 5 books. So these are other 3, and there is one here. This is called A Farewell to Arms. No idea what this is about. In our time, no idea. I know just a few things, that his writing is inspired from his real life, and the prose is just so smooth to read. And I have read 2 books from him, and I have enjoyed it so much. So I think I'm gonna continue them maybe in the middle of this year. And then I have to read The Hunger Games Part 3. I don't know when I'm gonna start this. And yes, this is something I want to read very soon. A Fine Balance by Rohinton Mistry. It is from an Indian author, and it is very difficult to find it on the internet. But luckily, I got it on Amazon second hand in some 450 rupees. So I don't know whether it is expensive or not, but if you go and search it right now, you will have to pay around 1200 rupees. So it's gonna be another long read. It has some 600 pages. I got this book to complete my challenge Never Logged Out by Riya Chopra. I have been following her Instagram for a long time. I like the way she talks about internet culture, and this book is about that. So I'm gonna read it this year. A book by Albert Camus, The Fall. I got this for my 30 days challenge, and this has been appearing in my recommendation for such a long time. Lords of Flies by William Golding, and The Years by Annie Ernaux. I think this is a memoir, and I haven't explored this genre much, so that's why I got it. Leo Tolstoy. I have read one book from him, Anna Karenina, and I thought maybe I should try more. I think War and Peace is from Leo Tolstoy. I will have to confirm it, but that is just so thick, but this is very thin. It's a short story, just 100 or some pages. So, The Death of Ivan Ilyich. Another short story of Mice and Men. So, I was doing my research, books under 150 pages. So, I got all the short stories, and that's why I got them. Call Me by Your Name. I have watched the movie, but I wanted to read the book also. So I'm not sure when I will be reading it, but hopefully this year. The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy, Indian authors. The reason I got it because I want to read more from Indian authors. I want to see how they write, experience their writing, because I started reading after lockdown, probably around 2021 or 2022. And majority of those works have been foreigners, like all around the world, but I haven't explored much of Indian authors. And I have only read things which were in my syllabus. I'm an English literature student, so I had to read books like Kantapura, Untouchable, and The Guide, R.K. Narayan. So I want to explore more of Indian authors. Clear Light of Day, Anita Desai, Indian author. Ruskin Bond for kids. So I want to read his writing because when I was working in a school as a teacher, I read a lot of stories to my students because it was part of their syllabus. So I really liked how quick and nostalgic those writing or those stories were. So that's why Ruskin Bond. Jean Paul Sartre. I don't know how to pronounce it. Nausea. I only know that this book is about a writer, so that's why I got it. Ways of Seeing by John Berger. This is a book which is very different from what I usually read. It is about how you see art, how art is perceived, and it has a lot of pictures. It's not a manga, it's not a comics, but it is about art. So I don't know when I'll be reading this, but when I heard the concept of this book, I was really fascinated by it. I got it, but To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. I tried reading this and I found it very complex. I have read some 20 pages and I tried reading this year, but you see how many difficult words are there, and also the writing is also different from what I usually read. Another complex book which I have taken a break from, The Myth of Sisyphus. So I think once I'm ready to put in all the effort, I'll pick books like this. What I talk about when I talk about running by Haruki Murakami, I try to run every day, and I think that this book is a non-fiction. It talks about his experience of writing and running, and how running in the morning, running in marathons helps him concentrate with his writing also. So I am looking forward to read this one. Veronica Wants to Die by Paulo Coelho. I started reading books, especially plain text, because of Paulo Coelho. My first ever book was The Alchemist. So I have read many books from Paulo Coelho, and this one has been there. So I want to try this too. Then part 4 of Hunger Games. So it is there. Charlie and Chocolate Factory. I haven't read from Roald Dahl, but I have seen a lot of movies on his work, especially from Wes Anderson. So I want to explore his writing too. Last 2 books in the list. This one is from Ernest Hemingway, and this is The Little Prince, a short story. I have watched the film, but it was for my challenge that I got it. So if anybody has watched this far, I want to say that read slowly. You don't have to purchase a lot of books at once, and maintain a reading list. Maybe you can write it somewhere, because sometimes we hear an interesting idea on a book and we forget about that, but you can just add it in your list wherever you log them, maybe online, offline. What I like to do is write it down in my notebook sometimes, and if I genuinely want to buy that book within a month or within a couple of months, I just put it in Amazon cart. So later on, when I have cash or money, I just go and order it. But I don't recommend that. You can just write it somewhere in your notebook. And if you're somebody who is into reading or want to build your attention span, want to watch videos, slow videos like this, then make sure to subscribe, and I'll be uploading regularly. I'll see you. Bye.